just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker. Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. In the news tonight, President opens new parliamentary session calling for leaders to condemn acts of sedition. Diplomatic corps encourages robust debate. And Sadelpa MP backs party changes. Opening a new session of Parliament today, President Ratuepeli Nailatikau spoke at length about leadership and the need for inclusiveness. In what could be his last opportunity to address Parliament, the President was also scathing of those linked to sedition-related activities, rallying a defence call to the Republic of Fiji military forces. Maggie Boyle with this report.
In possibly his last official address to Parliament, President Ratuepeli Nailatikau did not mince his words on upholding the sanctity of the state.
The current attempts by a small minority to set up an alternative state, a so-called Christian state, or to overthrow the current government are unlawful and contrary to the national interest. They are an insult on democracy.
To this end, Ratuepeli says the RFMF would whenever and wherever support the police in bringing to justice those who want to destroy democracy. In the same vein, the President lending his support to Constitution Day.
It recognizes common and equal citizenry, and that, regardless of our ancestry, ethnicity, or religious beliefs, we are all Fijians.
Ratuepeli also laments that 12 months on, some MPs appeared intent on promoting division rather than national unity. He says it would appear they cannot relinquish the politics of the past, the politics of viewing everything from a communal and parochial perspective, rather than as a Fijian leader who puts country and people first. Holding office since 2009, the President also took the time to reminisce about his tenure as head of state.
The people have put their trust in you to represent their interests. And while you have a responsibility to your political goal, you have a greater responsibility to the nation as a whole.
Parliament will decide on the country's next president, with both sides of the House expected to reveal their nominations, which will be put to a vote on October 12th. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
International observers from various high commissions and embassies were present to witness the opening of Parliament. Chanel Sivan spoke to some diplomats who all say that there needs to be discussions based on the will and the interest of the people.
Representing their respective governments, the diplomatic corps were invited to the second session of Parliament. British High Commissioner Roderick Drummond has seen previous debates and suggests solid discussions on the economy and making laws, not just to fulfill obligations, but doing it right.
I think there's very often agreement on the need for changes, but the how-to question, how do you do something, what should the law say, is often a very difficult one. And I think that's where the legislators here come into their own, and they have to work hard for the benefit of the people of Fiji.
The European Union's head of delegation, Andrew Jacobs, also shared the same sentiment, saying all they want in the next parliamentary session is meaningful dialogue.
I expect some good, robust debate. Looking forward to listening to the discussions, to watching them on the television. I think it's going to be important that the different items of legislation that are proposed really do receive a good discussion, a good debate in Parliament.
Even the French government has observed parliamentary systems which need more work over the next 3 years.
In a while, it's going quite well. You have still work to do, of course, but we've been only in the first year, and you still have 4 years to come, so still 3 years to come.
Today, Fiji is highly respected all over the world. It's one of those countries which is really has the potential to be one of the greatest in the region, and is very influential.
Also present to observe this morning's ceremony were members of the private sector, civil society organizations, and members of the public. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Secretary General to Parliament Viniana Namosi Malua rounds up the last 12 months as challenging. Namosi Malua says she's thankful to now have an almost full complement of staff and an operational budget to run the Secretariat.
We've been able to capacity build them so that they're aware of what happens in Parliament, and as staff of Parliament, what is their responsibility, not only for the staff but for us as well, for Madam Speaker and myself, Deputy Secretary General, and the senior staff. We've been able to learn from the consultants that we've been able to engage, and also during our study tours abroad. We've learned a lot.
The Secretary General says the focus now turns to new legislation, the presidential appointment in October and the national budget in November. And we have Maggie and Chanel standing by outside Parliament with more details. Maggie, what do you have for us?
Good evening, Jackie. Well, officially a new session of Parliament began today with vivid colour, of course, and a guard of honour, and a full ceremony with the Parliament executive and MPs. And this, of course, was presided over by the President in possibly one of his last engagements as President, given the appointment of a new President in October by Parliament. Now, in a nutshell, the President's speech was about leadership, patriotism, and the security of the state. His words a call to every Fijian to rally to the defence of the democratic process. Today also represented 12 months of parliamentary democracy. Now, Chanel, you had the pleasure of speaking to the diplomatic corps, and they weighed in on Fiji's transition.
That's right, Maggie. One of the things which we picked up from the diplomatic corps was that Fiji's parliament sittings and debates need more polishing, and they've got 3 years to do so. They observed that the meetings in Parliament, the debates in Parliament need to be more robust and centered around the plight of the people and not just fulfilling obligations. Maggie, one of the other things which was very important from the President's speech was he was telling leaders not to support alleged seditious activities around the country and stand and speak out against it.
Thanks. Now, also, the President in his speech outlined a legislative program which 8 acts up for review, which include the Mining Act, Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Public Service Act, to name a few. He also elaborated on the fact that with the year end, there will be even more work with 14 new laws to be introduced. So there's a lot of work in the new Parliament session to look forward to.
Coming up on FBC News, tapping into the potential for cruise tourism in Fiji.
Wala siya matimay hanagan ko rutaki na yan rubongi kebika na magtomay buga tali tignan na bisere wara kimuni na ko rutaki ngo na yan rubongi enambula FM nimbola benaka oya ubika na isoro ranyo na tomani mai na vito na kabe kina tini karuan ng bongi lebo enangono ko rutaki sekoya na yan rubongi enambula FM enambandua enasere.
One of the main instigators of change in the Social Democratic Liberal Party, Moses Mbulitavu, claims the party is now more stable. However, his claims of stability and change has not been publicly supported by the party leader Rote Mumukepa. Julie Vatwaliwali reports.
The most vocal SODELPA member is satisfied with the recent amendments to his party.
Now the party is more stronger, and we are going to strategize for the 2018 elections. And I think the Constitution and the current leadership basically have the confidence of the SODELPA financial members and supporters.
Moses Mbulitavu says the party members should now give their full support to all decisions made by the new leadership. However, attempts to get party leader Rote Mumukepa to verify this sweeping change was unsuccessful.
You are from? Are we talking to you people?
Just about the meeting last week. What do you think of the amendments?
You get it from the Fiji Times. Go to the Fiji Times and they'll give it to you. You won't be quoting from me direct, you'll be quoting from them. Nobody in the party at this moment should be trying to create other things that we have overcome in the last week, and we should also show support to the president and the mandate that he has, that we all need to work together and take SEDELPA forward.
Although the push by the Bulitavu's camp to change the structure of SEDELPA has been somewhat successful, the relevance of the party leader to verify or accept the change certainly raises questions on the issue of unity within the party's rank. Julie Watuwaliwali, FBC News.
A hearing on alleged violations of human rights of 3 of the 17 men and women charged with sedition and urging communal antagonism will now be heard tomorrow morning at the Lautoka High Court. The court called off all criminal cases that were to be heard today.
The application on the violation of human rights by the 3 Nandrunga men was to have been heard by Justice Tusara Rajasinghe in the Lautoka High Court at 9:30 a.m. today. However, a statement on the court's notice board said that all cases called in the Lautoka High Court today has been suspended and will resume tomorrow morning. The application for the violation of human rights is pursuant of Section 13 of the Bill of Rights as stipulated in the 2013 Constitution. The application follows the alleged continued unlawful detention and living conditions of the 3 men at the Namboro Maximum Prison for the past few weeks, despite their status as remandees and not convicts. The continuous denial by prison's authorities in allowing the 3 communication with and to be visited by spouses, partner or next of kin. The Nandrunga 17 are alleged to have been sworn in and taken oath to be part of the Nandrunga Sovereign Christian State as its ministers. Meanwhile, the 2 women who are part of the 17 will have their application for bail be heard on Wednesday. A total of 75 people have been charged with seditious-related activities in the Ra and Nandrunga provinces in the past month. Madhim Boletamana, FBC News.
Cruise tourism is seen as the new area of growth for Fiji. Speaking at the Pacific Cruise Tourism Development Strategy, Permanent Secretary for Tourism, Shaheen Ali, says the impact of cruise tourism in Fiji is increasing. Ali Kimbia has more.
Although still a small part of the total visitor numbers, cruise tourism has seen a 12.4% increase in the first half of this year.
Therefore, there's a immediate need to take advantage of the potential that exists, and this Pacific Cruise Development Strategy will assist in the development of strategies that will enable government, industry players like yourself, our stakeholders, our donors, to implement appropriate strategies and policies that will encourage further growth in this sector.
Shaheen Ali says this workshop will come up with tailor-made solutions to develop cruise tourism over the next 4 years.
Therefore, we see this program as a step in the right direction. That is, getting the key stakeholders involved to develop a very important regional strategy.
South Pacific Tourism Organization Project Manager Chris Croker says Fiji's input is vital in putting together strategies for the region.
The input of the Fiji stakeholders is very important. As you're probably aware that Fiji is our leading destination in the Pacific in terms of air visitor arrivals, but also in terms of cruise. If we are thinking of having maybe, and this is a possibility of Fiji going to be a fly cruise-based port, it's very important that we have the stakeholders.
The workshop will look at issues hindering the growth of cruise tourism and map the way forward. Increasingly, more cruise liners have been stopping over in Fiji in recent years. Even the capital, Suva, has become a regular port of call for some of the biggest ships in the region. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
And in sports now, Jamie joins us with all the very latest.
Nakajaki, and good evening in sports. After the break, Flying Fijians take a day off from training to celebrate Father's Day. And this year's Pacific Harbour Open records an increase in participants. This and more coming up.
रात को सपने तो जरूर आए होंगे। ये सपने क्या कहते हैं?
और बस थोड़ी ही देर में देखेंगे कि आज आपकी किस्मत के सितारे करते हैं क्या इशारे।
नई आशाएं और हौसले भरी सुबह की सुहानी शुरुआत करें हमारे साथ। मैं आपकी हमसफर मोहिनी
और मैं दीप्ति। सोमवार से शुक्रवार सुबह 6 से 9 तक
रेडियो Fiji 2 देश की धड़कन पर।
It was a day away from training for the Vodafone Flying Fijians, with players and management coming together to celebrate Father's Day. The team held a church service to commemorate the contributions of their own fathers and to also honor fathers within the Flying Fijians. Indra Singh with this report from London.
This is it. We want to show you that this is how much we love you.
The message for the players was loud and clear as they came together for prayer and celebration of Father's Day.
With some kind of gifts.
Yes, it was quite a moving sermon. I would like to, on behalf of the Flying Fijians management, the coaching staff, the captain and the players, we would like to wish all fathers a happy Father's Day in Fiji.
She's known.
Being far away from loved ones is a difficult task, but one which needs to be done and sacrifices made for the nation.
It's always tough when we don't have our loved ones, especially on a Father's Day, and we don't have our fathers around. It's quite emotional.
You wouldn't have brought us this far if you didn't want to.
Yeah, I just called my father this morning just to wish him for a blessed Father's Day, and I know the rest of the boys did too as well.
The message from the pastor was also clear for the players as he gave them a timely reminder.
That their sacrifices, that their effort that they have put in as fathers in their families have been acknowledged.
Being on the rugby field and training off it often takes up too much time for these ruggers, but they did show today, just like any other human being, they do put family as top priority. So the message today was all about Father's Day and what the love of each of these players' dads has given them, that to be transformed in the match against England at Twickenham on Friday. The players, as mentioned earlier on a free day, visiting iconic places in London and relaxing their minds somewhat before the big game. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Now, as preparations enter into the final lap for the Flying Fijians, the players and coaching staff are confident that the support it will receive in the 82,000 capacity Twickenham Stadium on game day will be a boost for the side. Here's Indra Singh again.
The players have been hard at training, knowing nothing less than 100% will do against England, but they also know fans will play a major role.
And then this week with our trainings at London Irish, one of our sessions will be open to the public, so I expect to see quite a few Fijians along at that as well.
While majority of the 80,000 plus sold out crowd will be rooting for the Red Rose, the emblem of the coconut tree will sure have support in the stands.
We as the community in the UK are all looking forward to this.
It's been a long time in making for Fiji's return to World Cup supremacy. In fact, 4 years after that rather-to-forget outing in New Zealand.
Their supporters backing all the way, and it's good to know when we come over to this beautiful place, we know that we have relatives, we have friends and fans all over the place.
It's down to business from today in London as the last of the relaxation periods came to a standstill yesterday.
Well, that's why today we encourage the players to get out of the hotel, not just rest and stay around the hotel, all right, because we want them fresh in their mind as well as their body when they come back into training tomorrow.
Will it be the coconut tree that will smother the life out of the rose, or will it go according to script is the question. One thing for sure, the Fijians want to tear up the script, and so do the fans who will be at Twickenham. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
And now Indra joins us live from London. Good evening, Indra. Less than 5 days now before the Rugby World Cup opening. What's the latest?
And as you mentioned, less than 5 days remain. And today, being Monday morning here at the moment, after 7 in the morning, the team, the Vodafone Flying Fijians, later on today will have their first training session after the break yesterday. And as mentioned in the stories earlier, they took time out to go to sightseeing and celebrating Father's Day, etc. But the big talking point in London today is all about
the naming by the English. The England coach, Stuart Lancaster, will name his team later on this afternoon here, England time. That's about 2:45 a.m. Fijian time tomorrow. And this will make it very interesting. Which 23 does he include? The big talking point about England is Sam Burgess. Will he be in that match day 23? And talking to Flying Fijians coach John McKee, he says he will not base his 23 on the match day that he'll name on Wednesday, Thursday morning Fijian time, based on what England puts out later on this afternoon. The Australian team also arrives here in the next 2 hours. They are in our pool, and the likes of Fijians, Tevita Kurandrani and Henry Spate in that team. They will be arriving, and the Uruguayans and the Wales are based in Wales. Of course, they host their games at the Millennium Stadium. But the Vodafone Flying Fijians, it's all about perfecting every set piece, every game move, every direction that they will take at that 82,000 capacity stadium in London on Friday night here, England time. It's going to be very interesting. Before I go, there's a lot of demand still for the tickets. 82,000 tickets sold out, but people are willing to pay top dollars to get tickets of people who have already bought them, and this includes the Fijian community here who are going without tickets at the moment. So some money-making matters there for a few who've got extra tickets. But as I said, today, the Flying Fijians get into training mode at 12 p.m. here. That's 11 p.m. later tonight in Fiji. It's going to be very interesting what's the coaching staff do this week in the build-up to the big game. Back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Indra. Now, more than 80 golfers competed at this year's Pacific Harbour Open at the Pearl Championship Golf Course in Deumba. The two-day tournament attracted some of the best golfers around. Rohit Deo reports.
The much-anticipated Pacific Harbour Open came to a close yesterday afternoon. Golfers competed in 3 categories while battling windy conditions.
I think the course has played hard on the players, and they have felt the crunch of it, but they enjoyed the game yesterday.
There has been an increase in participants in recent years, showing the growth in popularity of the sport.
The numbers are increasing, I think a lot on the condition of the course. More people when it's rainy weather, less people would like to, be part of it.
Close to 200 people were needed to organize the Pacific Harbour Open.
My boys have started working 6 in the morning, changing holes, cutting greens, tees and everything for the event.
This was the 5th consecutive year of the tournament, and organizers are already promising a bigger, better tournament next year. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
And remember, you can watch the entire tournament right here on FBC TV Live, of course. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
The Fiji Manufacturers Association hopes current economic policies will remain in place come 2016. Interim President Daksesh Patel says they have asked the government to maintain its policies on the manufacturing sector while asking for a level playing field that encourages continued investment.
Having a low taxation policy is also good because it encourages more savings for private sector that directly leads into more investments. We have encouraged government to spend and make the infrastructure more efficient, particularly in the electricity side of it.
Fine and cool weather conditions were experienced over the country today. A trough of low pressure lies slow moving over the southern parts of Tuvalu, Tokelau and Samoa. A cool and dry east to southeast wind flow prevails over the southwest Pacific region. And temperatures in all centres were in the high 20s. Suva and Savasava recorded 26 degrees. Nadi and Lautoka were 27. Ba was 28 and Lambasa had the highest with 30 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast, cloudy periods with brief showers over the interior southern and eastern parts of the larger islands. Elsewhere mainly fine, cool at night. And further outlook is some showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, fine elsewhere. And the main points again, President Ratuepeli Nailatikau, while opening the new session of Parliament, has called for leaders to publicly condemn acts of sedition. SADELPA MP Moses Mbulitavu backs changes within party leadership and potential for cruise tourism in Fiji to grow. Results from last week's poll question, we had asked, is enough being done to prevent suicides in the country? 86% answered no. This week we're asking, can we beat England in the Rugby World Cup opener? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply #FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.